This is really good. This is really good.
It's probably one of our best. Hey, yes, I didn't start the YouTube video, so that's all the good news. The show's over.
Can you start YouTube now? Or you can only start it at the beginning. You can't start it now?
It's now live on there, too. Sorry, right. People.
No, thanks, Rob. We thank you for telling us.
I'm going to restart the show now.
What do you mean?
Hey, we're live. We're back. Hey, anybody want to talk about hats, beards, or birthing RC brands? We're here.
Rapid birthing.
Yeah. I was home early, and I actually got everything prepared because I was here. And
that worked out.
Printing out stuff for my taxes, actually. But we're going to talk about brands and team associated / I don't even know what the hierarchy is. What the hell is it? Brad, take over.
The company is Associated Electrics. That's AE. That's the actual name of the company. Its genesis is from the slot car days, where that's why the AE logo looks like a slot car track. Yeah. So it comes from that.
They made the Associated Electrics that go with a slot car.
Correct. Actually, the story is much deeper than that, and kind of by accident, like many of the things that happened to us over time. The original owner, Roger, saw power in General Electric's brand and couldn't figure out what to add to Associated and threw on Electrics. Just because he was huge at the time. Believe it or not.
Where'd the Associated come from?
It was something that they made up. It was something to make all of our banking and reports and everything twice as long as it should be. Makes it hard to make logos and all that kind of stuff. There's really no rhyme or reason.
Going with an adjective was a bold choice for a name. You know?
We've made some bold choices over time.
Even though it wasn't the first car was gas too, right? So it even made less sense.
Yeah, the first car was a nitro, yes, and it was actually not designed by us. It was purchased in Europe.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So the electrics comes from the fact that it started in slot cars and then just didn't progress from there. It stayed that way because it was the name of the company, and it would have been too laborious to change the name, so they just kept it.
Cool.
And then from there,
yes,
we have four brands underneath that. Team Associated, the most popular brand. Reedy Power, which is our electronics brand. Elements, which would be the adventure brand, and Factory Team, which would be the performance parts and tools.
I didn't realize Factory Team was different than Associated. I mean, obviously it's all under Associated Electronics, but or electric. But I thought Factory Team was just a different header of the Associated line. Interesting. I guess it makes no difference in the end, but I didn't know that.
So now we have Element RC.
Is Brad frozen right now?
He looks pretty much the same as 30 seconds ago. So
he knows how to stay still.
I'm just going to say it. Team Associated has an AI called Brad that they use for marketing. And sometimes this happens. I mean, it's a very smart program, but, technology is not perfect.
Right.
I asked him earlier, since I wish I had cut out of Brad's face because that'd be Brad right now. But I told him, I always tell everybody, I was like, you need a wired connection because wireless is not fast enough.
Yeah. Well, it's been at least 10 seconds, so they probably plugged Brad back in. So he should be booting back up right now.
When he comes back on, let's all freeze frame and let him talk. Well, this show's starting off like this is going to be our top 10 shows on YouTube.
Every
trending.
show we do is terrible.
I know. I agree.
Yeah, I'm not even aware of what I was so busy today. Like usually, I wake up and I look at the various different sites that are the press release sites, and I don't.
Oh, you do that? I don't do that.
I try to keep my finger on the pulse. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm glad you do. That's awesome.
RC sites and action figure sites. That's what I do. I check the Walmart app every day for G.I. Joe Classified and Masters of the Universe Origins.
While we're waiting for 3G Brad to get back online here, since the last week I showed you the box. Remember when I had the nice box? I finished the. I got back up here a little bit. So this is kind of why it's here and what we're talking about. This is the Gatekeeper kit, the one we were talking about last week. So you can see it has rear trailing arm. Beep, 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 beep.
Is it done? Did you finish it? Is that done?
I'm going to put the motor in because I was going to make fun of Brad. He told me to, I said, I'm going to put this, he said, make it go fast. And I was like, are you sure? Because an HD 4x4 short course motor is like, seems a little too fast for this. And he's like, no, do it. And I don't think I'm going to. Because
you don't think you're going to do it?
No, because it's going to flip over. This is a solid axle truck. It's high CG.
Change the motor.
But how's it geared? I mean, like, is it going to run like it's on a motor with half the turns or twice the turns because it's geared so low? Numerically high?
Wait, let's all freeze. Ready?
I can't do it.
It's not working.
I don't know what Brad's doing under the desk now. We're just freezing like you. Your face is frozen on us for like 30 seconds. And we're like,
it took us 30 seconds to realize.
And here's your face.
My mom unplugged the 56K modem. God.
Mom!
God.
I'm doing a podcast.
So
I'm not even sure what she's doing back there.
So I was talking about that I actually built the truck because it's done-ish.
We were talking about over-motoring it.
Motor it?
Well, I asked if you put in a 10-turn motor, is it going to run like it's got a 20-turn because the gearing is for super low trail torque, or is it geared closer to like a short course truck or a more of a bash around vehicle?
No, it's definitely got the reduction in it, and it depends on the type of 10-turn, 3-pole or 5-pole.
Yeah, right. And I'm not saying either scenario is wrong. I was just curious because I'm not.
We were discussing because last week we talked about motors and suggestions, and that nobody puts, in the manuals it used to say 10-turn use this pinion, and now there's no suggestions. It's just because.
I said Associated actually does on some of their cars, like on the B6 line and their race cars, they do give you the various motors and at least a recommended starting pinion gear. I don't know about the Element line. I can't speak to that.
The variables are too high with the different size motors and stuff. At least in racing, it's pretty controlled, so the variables aren't nearly as bad. So it's hard. It's hard if you give a gearing recommendation, and the variable is outside of your thought, and somebody burns something up. It's on you. It's easiest just to say, figure it out.
Because that's what I was making fun of. Is the motor I was going to put in it was I'm not going to do it because it doesn't actually. I don't think it fits. Is a 4x4 HD Tekin motor, which is made for like a 4-wheel drive 8-scale truck. Yeah. And it's going to be way too fast for that truck. It's just going to flip. It's going to make it twist.
Yeah, it has a lot of reduction, like a 17.5 race motor.
Yeah.
On 3S is pretty fast, but not nearly as fast as it is in a race car.
Right.
You could still run it down with your feet.
I'm pretty slow.
Hey, Humble has a good question about why the truck doesn't have independent front suspension. And I'm not sure if all the full-size King of the Hammers trucks are independent front now. I know some have solid axle, or at least they used to. But that's a choice, and I can see why you would go either way.
Yeah, it really depends. The solid axle is considerably more durable. It has less moving parts, which is why it dominates U4 and trophy trucks still, those that bother running 4-wheel drive. But it's slowly progressing into independent front as they figure out how to make it survive. Because when it comes to speed, which these things have to do, you need an independent front end. Otherwise, it's I'm sure terrifying to drive.
Right. And that's what I was going to think what the motor I was going to put in is as from experience of past solid axle high profile tire trucks is that they want to flip over, to be honest with you. And so that's why I don't want to. I know from the last truck I did like this that if you have an expectation up here and the motor's too fast, it's actually not going to be fun anymore. There's that fine line of fast and fun to where you're not walking picking it up every 2 feet.
Exactly. The thing I found out real quick is it has too much steering throw if you're going to want to go fast. So the first thing you want to do is turn the steering way back. Otherwise, it just tucks the front end and flips.
Yeah.
So the steering is at like half in order to get it to rip around a track and then back up when you're in the tight stuff.
That's all of this speaks to why I think it's great that it's a kit, because instead of having a ready to run where or Element has to say, you know what, we have to decide, do we want to lean it more towards rock crawling, or do we want to lean it more towards going faster? Make it a kit. You can put whatever you want in the shocks. You can set up the way you like and have it favor more one way or the other. And you're not just, I don't want to say stuck, because you could change your ready to run as well. And maybe there'll be a ready to run later. But a kit out of the gate, I think is smart for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's back it up.
Like, oh man, he likes what we did. That's awesome.
Before you went like this, before you were like this for like 30 seconds, I want to talk about the birth of the brand. Like, since you were involved in this, I don't know the level of involvement. Obviously, I've dealt with you from the beginning of this idea of where it came from and how long it took, and like some of the challenges of even coming up with a brand. I think that's kind of interesting in a way of hearing somehow how, hey, we have to do this, and why wasn't it a team associated? Why is it, why'd we flip the brand?
This is amazing.
I don't know what's happening.
His screen is frozen. That's why he's doing that.
This is amazing. Do we?
Most podcasts, you don't need a visual component. This one you do. You really need to have the visual. You got Jeff's beard jokes. You got Jeff's hat jokes. You got freeze ups. I've got action figures. You need to have the visual. If you're just listening, you're missing out.
Brad's on Tinder while he's doing this, and he's like, swipe left. Oh, this one's hot. Yeah.
I thought Brad was indicating his displeasure with the question.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on.
My goodness. Stupid phone calls are coming in. Notifications are going off. It's just.
Yeah, you got to put it on D&D or whatever. That's funny.
Dungeons and Dragons? There's a Dungeons and Dragons
I don't know what that is. Yeah,
or Warcraft, if you want to do that too.
Did
you hear my question at all, or do I have to figure out what I said?
No, I did not hear it at all.
All right. So I wanted to know, like, since we were before you froze and started Tindering, just like how the birth of the brand, of how it came, and what involvement you had, and basically why wasn't it, why did it become a new brand and not team associated? That's kind of an interesting thought to me.
That's probably the first part that I'll answer. It's a team effort for everything else. That particular one just came as an experiment through the CR12 and seeing the reaction that team associated customers and fans had to seeing that type of RC car. They weren't into it at all, like zero desire. So it made it very difficult to make any kind of noise. In fact, it seemed to frustrate some. They'd rather hear about race cars. So that was pretty telling for me. I knew that we needed to break away. It was a fresh start. We could do some things differently. It more gave us a clean slate to work from. There was no real hard framework.
You could be different kind of way, like instead of having to look like an associated car, I guess.
There is that, although there's some familiarity there. And there is some stuff to be lost. I mean, the argument was huge for, if you've been in RC long enough, you've talked to somebody who said, oh, I used to have one of those gold cars.
Yep.
So there's some value to team associated, clearly. And there's some people in the company that thought I was crazy for saying that we should have a different name. But I think it was the right choice to make. It's a different ball field to play on.
No, well, I would say that there probably, I'm not going to say zero, but very, very few team associated hardcore guys were saying, please make a trail truck. Whereas there are plenty of people who would say, oh, there's a new brand with a trail truck and it's Element. Oh, and it turns out they're those race guys. They're not going to be like, oh, it's the race guys. Forget it. They'll be like, oh, that's actually great because they know how to make good cars. Yeah, those race loyalists, like you said, the squids, they're going to be down on it. You're not going to convert them. So why try to? Why distract them with, oh, they're team associated jump the shark. They built a trail truck. Who cares?
Exactly. We've only got fractions of a second as you're scrolling through your Tinder or your Facebook or whatever you're doing. So if we don't, if we can't catch you, then we've wasted our time. So we might as well cast into the correct pond.
It's interesting that I would say, I don't know, it's probably 10 years ago at this point, when the first trail trucks were coming out and we were covering it more on the actual magazine, there were several race brands that said it was stupid. They don't understand it. So that reaction is very funny because, it was Mugen that made fun of us. They were actually mad that we were covering this stuff. And it's like, well, that's what people people like to see. I mean, it's not you're not at the racetrack with them because you're not there. So you can't get mad at everybody. But that when you say that your fans got mad, I could definitely see that because advertisers got mad that other people made stuff besides an A-scale buggy.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really. It's all the same to me. But there's some people that get super upset when you call them toys too. So I don't know. I got a room full of toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with toys. They're toys.
As do we. I had literal toys. I love them.
I think all four of us play with toys.
Were there any were there any names before you guys landed on an element that didn't make the cut that you can share with us that aren't going to be used for other stuff that might be interesting?
No, not really.
Element's great. I think that is a great name.
There's a couple of other names that sort of made the credit, but I mean, for me personally, I never let them go really in any ear for me. This name was the one for me. It just sounded right. We were able to intertwine marketing with as far as like the elements are concerned, with journeying the elements. The marketing opportunities for me were endless. And it works a lot better than Team Associated or something like that, which in short looks like Team Ass. So I wanted to make sure we didn't get stuck in that thing.
I actually had a video that I refused to put onto the channel, not this channel, another one, because it was a perfectly nice interview, interesting, but it was framed so that the guy talking had ass next to his head because he was in the Team Associated area. And I'm like, right. Put this out there. Like, it's like a subliminal message, except the subliminal message is in 3-foot letters next to his head. So,
right.
Team Ass.
Well, yeah. So then we have a logo, and the logo's AE, and people ask, well, how do you get Team Associated from an A and an E? So there's a little bit of breakdown in there too. But it is what it is.
Right.
How long, I mean, from this conception of, hey, we're going to break and do I guess you're sticking with this style of stuff for now. How long did that conception to production, how long was that?
The sales pitch to even go down this route, even considered whether it should be a different brand or not, was probably a good year of hounding and saying that, look at this market. This market is huge, and if we don't get involved, we're crazy. Why would we not? And then it progressed from there. Okay, all right, fine. We'll listen to you. We'll do something. What should we call it? Even internally, the Enduro is called a CR10. Because when it was originally being designed, it was a Team Associated truck. It was there was no element name yet. So even in the computer, in the internal system, it's called a CR10. So it was
I like that idea.
Yeah, it was very natural. It just to make a car, we've got to make this segment. Okay, let's try these CR12s and see what people like. Which is why I created a satellite channel of my own. It was a melting pot of ideas, trying different things. What picture styles, what video styles do people like watching builds, custom things? And I used that to test for a good year and a half or so. And then use the interaction with people to make the best decisions we could for Element.
How refreshing was it to work on something that wasn't another 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, low CG, H-arm, dock towers, kind of architecture?
I don't do the design, so for me, it was.
But still, I mean, to talk about stuff that isn't that, and to be taking pictures of stuff that isn't that,
Yeah, to do something different is always nice. You see those videos where somebody puts on those glasses for the first time and sees color?
Yeah.
That's honestly how Element felt for me. It's what I love to do. I've always loved Hot Wheels and building models and making things look real. RC cars, racing RC cars couldn't be further from that nowadays. Bums me out that they look like thingies. They don't really look like cars. So this was my wheelhouse. I love this.
I keep thinking there's going to be some kind of a scale class where the guys who like that kind of modeling, like you pointed out, who also want to go ahead and race under a clock with a track capable car, but maybe it'll happen. But I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
What are you
The
saying?
only way that you can do that is to give like credible value for it. It would only be worth positional value or something. Like you can win the race, but if it's not dolled out, then it doesn't matter. That's the only way you could force this hand. Otherwise, the hand will always go to performance, which negates.
Yeah, it would have to be guys who say, yeah, we're going to have a scale class, and we're going to have these rules that say the proportions have to be like this, and here's the legal bodies and tires, and because it has the idea is that it's going to look like Jay Halsey's RC10 ad, RC10. Yeah. That's the look we're going for. I'd love that. That'd be great. And I would not. I mean, it'd be more fun to win, but I would not care one whit if I like won that race. I would just want to see the cars go around and be part of it, and walk the pits and be like, oh, I love how you did your lights, and oh, you made the guy's head turn. That's cool. All that stuff would be a blast for me. I'd love that. I miss
HPI used to be really good at that with the HPI challenge. They did really cool things with their concourse, and then you had to go and run the concourse car. It seemed fun, lighthearted. I miss those times.
To me, I would say it still kind of keeps that together a little bit for the scale because their bodies don't lean towards performance. The only thing you see is that somebody finds a body that works, and then everybody runs the same body. You know what I mean? So, but the U4, the scale class still is pretty scale. You know what I mean? Like it's still very. I mean, I tried to find videos of this stuff before, and there's not even really videos to show off what the class and the racing is. I mean, it's still very, very underground, which is probably good in a lot of ways.
Well, it's out there. Yeah. And what's good with U4 is that the cars are terrible. These cars don't really work that great, and that means there's no point in trying to get a hotter, more aerodynamic body, or like I've got, the perfect tires, because they have to do so much on so different types of surfaces, and you're never going to make two solid axles work great in 1/10 scale. So maybe better than the next guy, but never awesome. And that's part of the fun. I remember this was a few years ago, but there's a guy he just dropped like the U4 body onto an 8-scale buggy, and like, this thing is great. I just ripped through everything, and everyone's like, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is to have a car that is built like a King of the Hammers car, and we're not interested in just trying to go as fast as possible. We know you can do that. We know that there's better technology here to use, but that's not the point. And that was, rapidly outlawed. Like, no, you're not going to just put a cage body on your 8-scale buggy and call that a U4 car. We're not going to do that.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, but it's so hard. It's always so easy to say, oh, we'll just set these rules. But as soon as you get a bunch of guys together, the rules go right out the window.
Yeah, and the market kind of will dictate. The thing is, racing always ruins everything. That's kind of the end all be all. And especially when it becomes sponsored people, because then they have something to lose.
Well, so racing is so mental that even if you're as good and have as good of equipment as the factory guy next to you, if you go onto that driver's stand thinking that you're at a disadvantage because he's with the factory and you're not, you're already lost. You've got to get on the driver's stand and be ready to win. Otherwise, just have fun and just drive around.
Yeah, and Short Course tried to be when they first had this, and maybe this was just my track, but we mimicked. Trying to think of the series that's gone, the first one where they had the reformation after half the race.
Yeah, a yellow flag in the middle, and you bunch back up.
UF1?
Not UF1, the trophy truck series, but they used to bunch the
Lucas Oil.
Yeah, Lucas Oil. They used to bunch it back up halfway through the race. And when we raced at OCRC, you had to have mud flaps on the car. That was part of the thing. So they tried to keep the scale. And then, don't take this the wrong way, when Team Associated came out, basically the scale started to throw out the window, because then it became a performance truck. And tires then ruined everything.
Yeah, but as Brad said earlier, I don't know, I have no idea what you guys talked about. Yeah, I don't know what you guys talked about when I was gone, but all racing will do that. It doesn't matter. If it wasn't Associated, it would have been anyone else. Once you put a racing component, you're going to slowly take the scale components away, or make thinner mud flaps, or whatever. Racing. I'm a racer, obviously, but racing ruins any form of
Right now, we're in that moment with the short course converted trucks and drag cars. They're right on the pinnacle of being destroyed by carbon fiber flaps, rails, all this knick-knack stuff. It's about to ruin itself.
Right, as all classes do.
It's done.
I mean, it doesn't ruin it. It's just it forces you to be hardcore. You can't do the passive racing that your example with the drag car right now. You could passively go out and still do well, but once it gets ruined, for the people that enjoy racing that gets ruined, where it is the pinnacle and the top of the line of everything and the highest performance, it's great. But for the average Joe that wants to just go out with their car and be competitive, they won't be able to anymore. As all forms of racing, it happened to Slash Class. Again, I don't know what you guys talked about the last 5 minutes, but yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a thing. If you apply racing to it.
Yes, that's basically what we said.
Yeah, if we could sum the growth of the hobby in spikes, it would be during moments of this drag car, the Slash, the Emax. It would be during those moments where they were unmutilated and new and fun and inviting.
Right.
And now, drag racing is that. And people are coming into the hobby in droves, and they're going to stop if the car gets too crazy serious. So love for people to understand that and to hold back a little bit, be create a separate class. Don't wreck it. But man, I don't have a whole lot of things.
Brad, maybe you can answer this, because I don't know about you guys, but between COVID and just being busy, I've yet to get to an actual no prep drag event. Do most of these guys have some system of running brackets? Because that, of course, is a great equalizer. Or is it no? It's you got to cross the line first, and you got to spend the money, and you got to get the crazy motor, and you got to do all that stuff.
It's pretty archaic, you know. I mean, it's very much street racing. If you've ever done street racing in real life, it's chaos. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's really no rules. It's you talking crap to another guy who talks crap back and line up. The systems aren't really sharp enough to be able to stage out 3 cars, or I'll give you 3 cars, or I'll give you the go, things like that come from real racing. But they're getting there. Right now, it's just line up first one of the end wins.
Yeah. The Traxxas system does bracket, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I wanted to make a point before I left, talking about the scale thing, and this will make Derek angry, but Mini Z was one of those classes where the bodies are ultra realistic looking, like super realistic looking. When a new body comes out, people flip out. They're hard plastic. It's basically a molded
slot car racer.
Model. No, but slot cars would have very thin and all these other speed tricks. This particular class was supposed to remain with like a model, like a glued together assembly model type body that is ultra realistic. But even in at my local track, and probably at many tracks, they start getting polycarbonate classes. Because as any racer knows, the highest mass on the vehicle is the body, and if you can reduce that mass, you lower the CG. It's a huge improvement. So all of a sudden, these pulled poly bodies are removing all the detail. And the point is, I mean, you still can. There's still classes where you have to run the Mini Z type body, but even in a class that was basically designed to be ultra realistic and still high performance racing, even that gets rolled over eventually.
Well, that's because it's a-holes like you racing it, like, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And I won't disagree. I was one of the few a-holes that showed up. I saw one other dude running a polycarbonate body. I thought, fuck yeah, I would much rather do that. I don't like hard plastic bodies. I don't like painting on the outside. I also like performance. So yeah, I was one of those a-holes, and I'm fine with that. You know, I'm not against it, depending on how it's done. You know, you can still run the ultra realistic class, and as anyone who watches the show knows, I don't like adding classes, but you could have an ultra realistic class and then a racier version of anything, split it up into 2, not into 20 classes, but there are some ways of doing it.
I can tell you from us in this industry for a really long time is that we all know the secret of preserving a class, and for some reason nobody holds it to.
Well, what is your secret here?
You have a spec like. Okay, for drag racing, which I was really confused. I thought no prep drag was like 13.5, and everybody ran a 13.5, and there was no prep. So now everybody's running a 2.5, and I'm like, this is the stupid. You're going to blow out everybody from racing because there's no. Hey, I made my 13.5 go faster, and it's neck and neck. But
without going to extremes, it's usually cheaper to have an open motor than it is, because if everyone has to run at a 13.5, you get a motor of the month, or some guy that has some crazy milled out can that he paid $400 for. Spec classes aren't less expensive. No, obviously there's certain situations where it could be, but generally speaking, an open motor. Unless you get into something crazy where you got to, run cat packs and crazy speed controls and high C batteries.
They're burning out motors and speed controls.
Well, no, I think I prefaced that there are extremities, of course, but in general, in RC racing, open classes. As I've given the same example in my B6, I had an 8.5 Deacon motor in there for 2 years. It was so fast on the track I was at. No one outmotored me. I didn't have to buy a motor of the month. I didn't even have to run HV cells in LiPo. Like open motors do have a lot of advantages, except for extremities, as you pointed out, which I totally agree with.
What always interests me is when you've got it's not like, well, because of what we've allowed in this class, the racing is twice as expensive, but the cars went from being boringly slow to excitingly fast. I would want to spend that money. Instead, it's like, wow, we're now spending twice as much because of what we're allowing, but the cars are only 5% faster. And the guy who wins still always wins. I used to always get third. Yeah. Now I'm still always getting third because now we've all agreed to spend the money to do this. These same things. What if we just didn't do those things and kept half the money? Like that, to me, would be a better idea,
Because it doesn't, right. Well, I mean, we can talk about this. Why do we do those things? Because everyone's always looking for a speed advantage. And then as soon as you make a new rule to stop we don't have to be specific on what speed advantage. As soon as you make a rule to solve that one speed advantage, people go to work of how to break the rule within the rule.
I get it. That's racing. But like at some point, like imagine like you know what? The only way to win on the indoor carpet track, Proline or somebody has a new tire, it's good for one run. You need to drop $200 every weekend on tires, to compete.
Well, that happens.
Let's agree not to do that. Let's all agree we're going to run these hard tires because no one will have an advantage if we agree that we're not going to use anything except for this compound or harder. And let's just not spend that money. Like, I don't know why people wouldn't agree to do that.
Yeah, you could on a smaller club level, I would imagine, have something like that work.
Yeah, that's fine. At any level. I'm not trying to say Roar should mandate this nationwide, but
then you run into all sort. I mean, IFMAR's doing that already with a lot of their worlds where they have a handout tire. But then you have multiple brands who are making competitive tires, and I mean, we all from the racing end of this, you race and have sponsors to win with it and sell it on Monday, kind of a thing. So if you eliminate that competitive component in something, I mean, you brought up the tire situation, but this dude's always harping on me. Go ahead, Brad. What do you got?
You're saying shut that up.
But that's the Babble going. He was going so well.
The Babble. Don't get us started on reverse.
No, I personally agree with all of that. At that point, it becomes to the race director. It's up to the race director to hold the rules or not hold the rules. And that's a sketchy situation if you have tracks that are close together, because if the rules are strict in order to better the hobby, then everybody goes to the other track where the rules aren't strict. It's a collective effort. And if everybody doesn't get involved, we're just going to keep chasing cats. It's just what it is.
And then if everyone does get involved, you're dangerously close to making a spec class.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what spec is here's a bunch of rules that everyone needs to follow across the board, and then you got spec. Yep. Where you can only use one tire, but the tire's better on the first two batteries, so the guy with the most money only runs them for two batteries.
Are you going to make a carpet gatekeeper version for carpet racing?
You're an idiot, dude.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? It's going to have a solid axle in the front and independent suspension in the back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what off-road racing has turned into. I don't even know why you make cars go on dirt. It's stupid.
Well, even the drag cars are doing burnouts on carpet to heat tires. So something about carpet and turf, we just can't get away from it.
Anyway, I'm not going to fix the drag racing problems right now because I couldn't fix any other class. The U4RC is still fun. You still go there and you can drink beer while you do it, so it's more fun that way, to me.
Yeah.
So on the element side, somebody posted that somewhere over there, but they were asking about, is this the full line or is there stuff coming in the future? What do we get to look forward to?
There's always stuff coming. Anytime we announce something, we're already 6 months ahead. What you see is something that we've put away already, and we've already on to the next thing. So yeah, when it comes to element though, the idea behind the Enduro was to make a simple base platform that you could build upon, hopefully indefinitely. And that's what we're doing. We've given you solid axles, independent trailing arms. We've given you a cage, multiple options. So you can your journey begins here.
Hey, Brad, tell us about the genesis of the idea of having a garage be inside the box, which is brilliant, I think.
Oh well, we had an Axial box in the shop. John Schultz, who worked for Axial for a while, had a bunch of old parts in this bin box that we were always going through and pulling stuff from. And we noticed that the inside of the box was printed black with Axial logos all over it. And I thought, well, that's really cool. They took the time to print it. Looks really nice and clean. And we're kind of sitting in a group together, and it was like a series of light bulbs went off. Well, if we're going to pay to print this thing, let's print something that you could actually use, something that you might actually want. And so we made a diorama. It was that easy. And it became something that now I see being used in ads by other manufacturers. It's pretty funny where that little box shows up.
They use your box in their ads, or they make their own version of a box? They use in your box. That's hilarious.
Both.
Yeah, that's funny.
Was it an additional expense to print the inside of the box, or was printing already winding up on the inside because of the way the box is folded and assembled? So you're
Correct.
like, well, then let's go ahead and make it up.
So it's basically a laminated surface on the inside anyway, and the lamination is white ink.
Yeah.
So you're already flipping it, you're already gluing it, you're already printing it. While we're there, let's make something useful.
Yeah.
Most people throw away the box. When it comes to stuff like this, we saw lots of people building little homes and doll houses and all that kind of stuff to make their stuff look cool.
I love that stuff.
We just wanted to give them a jump start and help them kind of create that on their own. Some of that stuff is difficult, laborious, and above some people's wherewithal.
Yeah.
So,
or time. It takes time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Were there any other considerations for what you could print inside the box that you didn't use, like a team associated, baseball cards or stuff like that?
No, not really. We wanted to make like usable things, like maybe little scale accessories that you could put in the car and stuff. But the cardboard thickness is too great, so you really couldn't fold anything down real small. So, in the new Gatekeeper, you get like a toolbox and stuff. That's about as small as you can get before it starts. The cardboard just won't fold that tight.
Wait, there's something in the box that I missed?
You can cut out and fold the toolbox.
I watched your Gatekeeper announcement video today. It had this beautiful blue Tamiya in it the whole time. I'm like, what am I watching?
Oh, wait, what?
It had some Tamiya on-road car in it. Your post. It was like, this is the Element Gatekeeper. Go check out this video.
Did you post the wrong video?
Yeah.
Is it still up there?
What's that pink sea creature with the little tentacles on the bottom and the pointed head? I think it's a squid.
We talk while I check when I screwed up here. No, because I posted the wrong video, but then I fixed it. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
That's what it said. It said something about I posted the wrong video. Sorry, but it was still a video of the Tamiya with the description of the element.
What?
But anyway, yes, there's fun stuff inside your box.
Sorry.
So every box. So one thing that people are starting to figure out is every box has some secrets and some carrots in it. Each box foreshadows future product. So
what did you say? Each box comes with a free pack of carrots?
Yes, mini carrots.
Easter eggs. It means Easter eggs.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a snack when you're building.
Yeah, Cadbury eggs with the cream in the middle.
Brad, if you take those things that don't fold correctly on the box cardboard, I would make those available online. I'd print those out on some card stock and fold those bad boys up.
Absolutely, yeah. Manila folders work great for that. Print them on Manila folder. It's perfect thickness. Most of us have those laying around.
You look like you're in some deep thought there, Derek.
All right, well, I screwed this up twice, which is great.
Are you going to fix it now live?
Yeah. Hey, we watched it. We discussed everything in the beginning. I might as well fix it live.
Oh, my God. The Gatekeeper was an arcade game in an earlier box? I don't know what that means.
Yeah. So in the IFS conversion, you got two arcade games. You got Trail Runner and you got Gatekeeper. Both were foreshadowing a future product. That was before we announced the Trail Runner, and obviously before we announced the Gatekeeper.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, snap.
So what you'll find inside your gatekeeper box is another garage. It looks more like a fab shop. And more of the references towards, different references. I'll leave it at that. You open the box, you
Different
find it
references
yourself.
foreshadowing some other products on route.
Maybe.
Potentially, right. All right. Go study the box, Derek.
It's not close enough for me to try to get it right now, so
I've gone too far.
it's in
No,
my
going
kitchen.
I said too much.
What else about Element? Are we all frozen?
I got one for you, Brad. Do you have? Are the categories that Element would enter firmly established, or is it kind of a play it by ear thing? Like, and maybe there's some vehicles where you'd be like, well, should this be Team Associated or Element?
It's probably anything scale. It'd be pretty easy to tell, or it has been thus far.
Yeah.
If it could have a race number, then it's probably first considered to go under the Associated brand, even if it's an RTR.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, if the race number is on a vehicle that is very scale and maybe more adventure based and more 50% more of it would be to the scale side than it would be on the Element. It really depends on the product that comes about. We have in mind what we're going to make for Associated, Reedy, and Element for the next probably year and a half already anyway. So all that stuff's decided.
Yeah. Cool. You know, it'd be a great scale accessory. I only just thought of this. I haven't seen anyone do this inexpensively. If someone could add a mountain bike to their tooling, I think that'd be great.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Well, what happened to all those finger bikes? Aren't those like the right size for that crap?
Yeah,
No.
but you want a dual suspension mountain bike that looks like a specialized, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Is that one of the finger bikes?
Yeah, but it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Not exactly scale.
Yeah.
It's like a Strider bike for a little kid.
Nice.
I always hoped someone would come out with a decent driver figure, but we seem to have a full interior seem to have gone away, where you could put a figure in there with a torso. I mean, like the axial bomber, that kind of thing. It's all just trays, which is fine. Those look great. I mean, does the job, and it's a lot easier than trying to. And I don't like seeing a shirtless wrestler in a trail truck. I want to see a guy who looks like he would drive a trail truck.
What's wrong with a shirtless wrestler driving?
Out there.
Jeff's about to take his shirt off.
Yeah, I don't wrestle, but I'll take my shirt off for you, Pete. Want me to drive a truck around?
Sure.
You got a fancy gold belt?
Don't challenge him.
I do actually have a fancy gold belt.
Of course, he
Man.
does.
Derek will remember.
So when Element started, this was more of a social media campaign, right? What's the trials and tribulations of trying to market through social media, which is the same thing we do, which
it's all human mind stuff. All these algorithms are written by humans, and the human mind's a pretty easy thing to navigate. It follows pretty strict rules. So if you stay within those rules, the mind's pretty easy to tickle.
Simon says that you pulled him away from getting an axial bomber.
Are you playing a game right now? Are we supposed to repeat it because you said Simon says?
Wrong, Simon.
Simon Says is the stupid game with the lights, isn't it? Or Simon?
That was just called Simon, yeah.
Yeah.
Simon's a fun game if you like to be furious.
Yeah. After about the fourth
I
round.
like to be furious.
If you love to be frustrated, yes, play Simon or golf.
Right.
Well, you can drink while doing both.
That's all Derek cares about. Every hobby. Can I drink? All
I
right.
put a beer magazine over that premise, but that's all.
You're in a beer magazine?
No. What? I'm running out of questions, so somebody else is going to help me out here.
Yeah. Again, we prepare so little for this now. I remember the first few episodes, we actually put some thought into this.
No, we did not.
Well, no, we didn't. But right. No, you're right.
They probably
Yeah,
answered
but
everybody's
did you have
questions.
these cool graphics though? These are pretty sweet.
No, those are relatively new. Pete handles those now. I don't think our early shows had them.
Yeah, those are
Why
pretty
don't you
sweet.
show Brad the various options we have?
What's that?
I don't think we have it set up for 4 people, so it's not.
Take me off. Take me off and demonstrate.
Well, we could always X Jeff out. We always have this as an option because
that's my favorite one. Oh, I thought you meant like.
There's no like sound. Oh, hey.
We do have.
This was pretty cool.
We could go diving, yeah. The crowd favorite is actually me becoming Jeff because it's much smarter when Derek Jeff's talking.
No, that's not true.
That about sums it up. But Pete sends these things randomly. That's what we got.
The best one is the me one with the Playgirl pictures in the back.
I don't know where that one went. Sometimes I have to delete some stuff here.
That's the mouth one, isn't it?
It's one of the mouth ones. There's many mouth ones with me.
No, that had your striker. He changed it somewhere. Oh, wait, here it is, this one. But that's only for 2 people.
I thought today that Tebow doesn't come on anymore. And I put this stupid picture up for him. And now it just looks like I have a crappy Tamiya picture.
I keep thinking you say Tebow when you said this, by the way.
Yeah,
I used to
Jared Tebow. Yeah.
Not Jared Tebow. No.
What are you saying?
Tebow. That's what his nickname was or whatever. He had
Well,
2 names.
Put the striker, the covenant. The second worst.
Tebow, not mean Jared Tebow.
No, that's okay. I get that. Hey, that was his name, his handle on YouTube or something like that. Anyway, what are you saying, Derek? What are you saying about my striker? I'll fight you.
It was the second worst vehicle ever made. That's what his comment was.
Yeah, that's fine. The striker's amazing, by the way. Here, I'll make sure it's a fully in frame. There we go. There. That's a fun game.
Let's do this.
There we go.
Look at your collection there. That's good.
What was your first RC car, Brad?
There you go.
Let's see how wizard level.
It was an RC10T. Skinny front tire.
Mm-hmm. You said skinny front tire?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it was given to me by my brother-in-law, helping him move out of the house, and found it under the bed. Let me have that. Sure. I went down to Hobby People, which was around the corner from my house, spent way too much money and came home and broke it and went back and have been down that rabbit hole ever since.
Do you have that RC10T still?
I do.
Nice. Good. With the narrow front tires?
No, I burned those down to nothing and they dry rotted and whatnot. But,
yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I don't
remember if we answered this definitively the last time we talked about it, but do we know why? Did the RC10T lose its skinny front tires because Roar said no, we want to keep it more like a truck, or was it a different reason why the skinny tires?
Roar eventually said no. Yeah.
Yeah, it was merely
no. But did they say no because they're like, no, it's a truck class. We don't want to have a weird buggy class that with a truck body. We want the tires have to be fat.
I do believe that there was a bit of grasping to try to keep it semi-realistic with a tire front and rear that were about the same size. But I don't know if it was that specific. The car was just too good, and they had to mellow it out by putting big marshmallows on the front of it.
I enjoyed that era of racing where like the like Australia in '89 at the Worlds where Yokomo came with the 2.2-inch rim and associated I think was the Roar Nats when they showed up with that narrow front and dominated and then I enjoyed that era when people were looking into the rules. I mean, there's not a lot of loopholes you can find these days in such as the classes are so mature. But back then was neat. It was fun to read that in RC car action.
It's funny.
Rules that was just design. Like now we've got computer designs that help everybody get to the.
No, the narrow front tire was an idea. It wasn't about design at all. I mean, obviously they had to design it, but it was just a neat idea. Hey, we don't need this big heavy tire up here, and we can sneak it into the design and show up at the Roar Nats, and all the Roar officials will go, I guess it's legal. You win the Nats, and on Monday they make it illegal. It's brilliant.
The prototype stuff is still the same width. It just has like the arm lengths change, the shock lengths change. It was all
but that's not as big of a difference as taking half your tire and half your mass.
Yeah, now it's frog fur. Now it's really, really minute.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah. It just as I always joke about, and it's not even a joke. It's true. Every new car that comes out in the mature classes, and it's completely understandable. You read the press release. We lowered the motor 0.5 millimeter. We moved the servo 0.5 millimeter into the center. There's nothing else to do. I'm not saying we're done developing, but it's not like the old days where they're cutting shock towers with a Dremel in the pits and stuff. There's a lot less room for wiggle now than in the 80s and 90s, where you could see some really cool stuff. Be like, holy shit, why didn't I think of that?
Business considerations aside, of now you have to tool up new parts, etc. What would you think if Mar and War said, we're going to do this together. We're going to say that for the 10th scale buggy classes, which aren't models of any real car, so who cares if they're not 10th scale anymore because there's no real size car to compare it to, they can be 1.5 inches longer and 1 inch wider because we've got so much battery and so much motor. Let's have a little bigger car, more durability, and we'll maybe have some new rules that makes the profiles a little less spaceshipy. Do you think that'd be good for racing, bad for racing? No difference?
Well, at first it would make it good because it would make the car considerably more drivable. But we've already talked about this. The motors will get faster. The tires will get cut down. The bodies will get lighter. The racers will get involved. They'll start slamming packs with car batteries. There's nothing to stop that stuff. So
Right.
It'll always be smooth and upfront. And as soon as somebody allows the rules to be stretched beyond realistic, as soon as a race director caves to the racer, it's over.
Indeed.
I don't think any mature.
And that would be such a
no mature class is going to be able to be changed. You have to create a new class.
yeah,
But they always get like so.
and that's just what we need.
Well, short course came out as a new class. Shut your only one.
Yeah,
stock
we need
modified.
843 classes. So yeah, get another one.
Well, when short course came out, it had a new class. It was somewhat scale. The tires were hard, and everybody had a good time. And then we morphed it into people that are angry because they used to race short cars, and they used to think you couldn't drive. Everybody was a hammer, and it wasn't like that. I mean, there was people that, of course, drove everything like crap, but you got to create a new class, and then you got to stick with it. But we've morphed back to two-wheel drive buggy, which is still a great class. I mean, you're never going to get away from that.
No.
But that's what it brought back. It rekindled some sort of racing back to electric and indoor when it wasn't popular, and then it's made two-wheel drive. And for whatever reason, four-wheel drive is very popular in racing communities a little bit. Like IFMAR. I don't know why there's so many four-wheel drive cars. Nobody really sells them.
Yeah. Now, again, I've been to a track forever, but when I first got involved in racing, once you master driving an RC car enough to not turn the wrong direction when it's headed towards you, you were good enough to go ahead and get on a racetrack and credibly get around it. Not going to win, obviously, unless you got really good skills that you didn't realize how good they were to get on track. But you could go out there and do it. And now I think RC is kind of like bicycle road racing. You have to be in phenomenally good shape to suck at bicycle road racing. If you want to enter a criterium road race, they actually remove you from the race if you're not fast enough to keep up. So you have to be in great shape just to even be allowed in. And I think ditto with RC car racing, you have to have a pretty high level of skill and equipment just to even get there and like get on the track and not be they won't make you leave, but you'll understand that you don't really belong here. Is that true or is that false? I mean,
It's the reason that I have two boys, and it's the reason that neither one of them will go in the track. It's intimidating. It's overwhelming. It's not very inviting at all. But the woods are, rocks and trees and camping and all that stuff. It's very inviting. It's overwhelming for sure.
Yeah, and that's a bummer because
I can totally see why.
It's not like your boys would have. Yeah. And it's a bummer because it's not like your boys would have to be on the track at the same time as those guys. If they had a class where they said, look, you can run pretty much anything, but you all have to run a Mabuchi 540 motor, makes all the cars slow. The whole idea here is that you just have fun driving on a track. If you win, you win. If not, no big deal. We're here to all enjoy and learn how to, etiquette and not hitting the other guys. It's strictly for beginners and for fun. That'd be awesome. I mean, I'd probably run that class for fun, just so I could drive a car around. It's not about, totally winning and
the problem is most of the tracks are designed in such a way where you couldn't get that car around it.
Yeah.
So make the triple
jump and everything for the fastest guys.
Yeah, if you let the tracks blow out, then the track is different throughout the day. Then it's not one tire; it could be a couple tires. A guy that's good today might not be good today. He might because the track is a little bit different. Racing was better when there wasn't IFMAR qualifying. You raced every time you were on the track, and the track changed. Once the track got to the point where you could guarantee what it was every time you set foot on it or on it, it made it so we started counting frog fur, and it stripped the joy out of it for me. It made it to where it was beyond counting tenths of a second, and that's just not fun.
Well, here's the thing, I think the intimidation of a track has never changed because I'm looking back to when I started racing. I showed up with a Ultima with a 360 size motor in it, And when I got good enough driving that I almost won with it, you know, they're like, "Oh, you're cheating." I'm like, "I'm 10 years old and I don't have any money. How am I cheating?" You know, so there's a competitive level to racing that you have to be okay. I'm going to crush everybody, and you have to be competitive and understand that people are going to try to beat you. And a lot of times, I think the difference now is that we're letting kids not understand that you're going to get beat, because as Jeff will argue, you know, because he just came in and he'll be like, "I don't know what you said for 5 minutes, but
I don't know what you guys said for 5 minutes."
There is an F main for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is. Is, you know, you got to be okay with, hey, that's supposed to separate you into skill level, which is fine.
Yeah. And it works great.
It's not about like, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm not going to be the winner. It's like, whoa,
some people are like that.
The world isn't for me. That's what you don't want. You don't want, you know, the dad to show up with his 12-year-old and they're like, yeah, we can tell this whole universe isn't for us. That's a bad thing.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be happening.
No, it shouldn't be. That's exactly the point I'm making. And some tracks are probably not like that and are very welcoming, and others, you know, you just watch the action, and despite what the owner might hope, the racers are sending a message loud and clear that this is really not for you. And
I hear this all the time, where like the snobbery of the A-main guys or something like that, but I've never experienced it in my 30 years. I've never experienced that. I mean, there's always some ass there who's too fast to talk to you, I guess. But I've never experienced the, like, get out of here, kid, I'm not going to help you attitude, or I'm too fast for you. I find this hobby is very embracing of sharing knowledge. In
Canada. It's cute. I said that's a Canadian.
Yeah, listen, maybe that's true. What's that, Brad?
I had the same experience as well. I was lucky. I had the same experience. I was pretty lucky. My home track or local track was SoCal too. That's a pretty cool track to have as your local track. The best of the world were there all the time, and they were always very inviting. For my kids, for example, it's not that the people aren't nice. It's just that it's an overwhelming environment. Everything is fast and polished, and it doesn't look like something that you can come in and just set a car and play. It looks like you'll be in the way. The people on the driver's stand are barking at each other.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's an experience.
Well, so there's two things here. There's two things that are necessary. The race director has to do a better job of knowing the skill sets of everyone to set the qualifying heats to keep the skill levels more reasonably together. And then B, we need to educate new people in exactly what Derek just said and what I've been diatribing for months or years now, forever now, is that the system is sound. You're not supposed to be in the A, B, or C main. You're supposed to be in the bottom, and you're racing with people of your equal skill. And when you come first in the F main, that is a win for you, and you'll make the E main next week, hopefully, and build yourself up. If the racers have a strong understanding that there is a hierarchy in place on purpose, and here's what I said first, and this is important that people don't understand. The race director does need to separate the really slow from the really fast, because it is a real thing. When you're in the A main or in an A qualifier, if you have to lift for 2 turns and you lose 3 or 4 tenths of a second because of a slow guy, you have just lost a number of positions in your qualifying. That sort of time does matter at that level. So it's the race director's job to separate those people, not in the practice. In practice, it's not a problem. They should be able to intermingle. I love coming up behind a slow guy in practice. It's a challenge to try and get by them. But in racing and qualifying, the race director needs to separate them, and the kids and all the racers need to know it's okay to win the F main. If those two things happen, it wouldn't be as intimidating and scary, I don't think. As I said over and over, the system is sound. The heat system that we have, the main system we have, is accommodating for everyone. You can do a beginner class. You can do all these other.
The kids can't win out of the gate. That's never been what I've ever suggested. Yeah, I'm talking about.
No, but Brad said it, and you said it. The intimidation factor in general.
I couldn't hear you, Jeff.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that, like, for my kids, they don't have a problem winning the F or anything like that. It's just an overwhelming experience. And it does come down to the race director's control. At my track, Jim Blauvelt held control. You ran rookie until you were fast enough, and he told you when you were out. Congratulations, you're now out. I remember the night he told me I was out of novice and into intermediate stock. It was the best feeling ever. Congratulations. It's awesome. Feels good.
I love that idea. Brilliant idea.
On-road when you raced at SoCal, Brad?
How old was I?
No, off-road or on-road?
Oh, on-road. I was a touring car guy.
Oh, geez. I see. That was the least friendly track I ever went to in my RC career, was SoCal.
I didn't know any better. It was the only track I raced at. I raced there and some Hobby People parking lot. So compared to Hobby People parking lot, it was dialed.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. What about if we had like the novices could go backwards and go in reverse?
No. Are you breaching this topic again?
I was just seeing if Jeff would take the bait.
I'm not angry this evening.
We have an ongoing argument about reverse and how
No, we don't. You do.
Death of everybody, and it's not really as bad as it seems. Brad runs markets a class that goes backwards, Jeff, so he's on my side.
But I support reverse in the element line in the scale and crawling class. I am a supporter of that. I'm not in the racing sense.
You should try the reverse with a trailer class. Now that's wild.
Oh no.
That actually would be fun. See, on things like that, it would be fun.
Yeah, what happened to pumpkin pulling and blacklight racing and all that kind of stuff?
Bring it back. It's roller skate while we do it.
What's nice? What is pumpkin pulling? I've never heard of
I don't know
pumpkin.
what that is either. Are you
You've never seen it? It's just weight.
No.
We would try to find something as heavy as you could, and usually it was a pumpkin during the holidays or during Halloween, and you'd see how far you could drag it. If the thing weighs more than the car, you're not getting very far.
Oh, it was like ghetto truck pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we got a differential question.
No, there is no plan for an open differential at this point. The housing's very, very small. So in order to package, for example, a planetary diff with suns and satellites, the gears would be tiny in order to fit them in there. So there'll have to be something else in order to package it in that housing.
One way. You can get that in there. Hey, if anybody is looking to buy an element, we have a link in our description. You can use our link to give us a few pennies off your purchase through AMain. So you get it sold through AMain, right?
To be clear, you don't pay extra so we can have
No, it just gives us an affiliate fee.
That's good that you clarified that, because it kind of sounded like that you were skimming the top.
No, well, obviously we're skipping the top. If they're paying somebody, obviously you can buy it cheaper. But let's be real. You know what I mean? Like they pay us $1 and they give you $1 discount. Who cares?
Help the team out here.
Yeah, we're doing all this quality content for free. You know, that could make it.
Quality. What happened to our graphics? What happened to our graphics?
Yeah,
I don't know where they were.
Good call. Yeah.
You know why? Because I was playing when we were doing the demo.
What were you demoing? Did I miss something?
Yeah, while you were
just
gone,
gone down over and over here.
While you were gone, we were showing the real Jeff voice, and
good.
It only works on 3s. You were here. I don't even
Was
know. Yeah, you're stupid.
What's going on right now?
Anyway, I think we're an hour and 7 minutes, and if you can figure out what we said in the last hour, aside from go buy an element, go into the woods, drink a beer. If you live in SoCal, Corona Del Mar is a really fun spot, and you can crawl all day, sit on the beach, and it's great. Or you can go into the woods and Big Bear. But super affordable, high quality. We'll bring back my American dream here.
America.
Captain America. He's on there.
A very good paint job, Joe.
I built the links wrong, which I'm going to fix after this video. I didn't build them wrong. They're just twisted half a turn. But if you watch the video, I can tell you why I built it wrong. But you watch my other video where I'm in the kitchen.
Hey, Derek, what is Velocity and how can I subscribe to it?
I don't know. It's probably a magazine that comes on your digital device. You just download it. It's $10 for the year. If you're dumb, you buy one issue. It's $3. So you can get every issue we ever made for $10, and every issue we hopefully make in the future. I can't even tell you how many we're going to do.
Are we still making issues?
So you're saying I'll get every issue for the year ahead plus the 40 issues that already exist for $10?
Well, yes, Pete, you can.
Wow.
Now I'm angry. This is making me angry.
Why? Because you have an American flag above you?
No, I like America.
You just bought a single episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just about to say I paid $3 for one.
So it doesn't make sense. Actually, I'm going to raise the price on single issues even more to make it even dumber not to subscribe. But yeah, you got to force people to be smart sometimes. Here's the truck. It's fun to build. Smells all right. Well, like rubber tires, those Proline tires. It doesn't come with tires or wheels, so you got to pick those up and electronics. But use the link below or wherever you see a link that says buy it for us, and then pick up some stuff, and Brad will be happy and we'll be happy. That's really what all we care about is us two up top. Screw the people on the bottom.
What do we do? What do we do, Pete? I don't get
I thought I worked pretty hard.
Yeah, I work hard sometimes too.
Send me those decals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, did I show you? Did everyone get excited?
With the decals for 6 months. We do.
This is what I had planned.
This close, yeah, this
How
close.
many do you print? Is that only 10?
Yeah, that's probably only 10. I don't know. I'll print you more. Don't worry. I'm gonna print you some red ones.
End of the show.
Yeah.